Okay, so the Tigers have hired Scott Harris as their new director of baseball operations. Basically, what that means is he isn't the general manager, but he can be appointed the general manager. He still operates. It's exactly what it sounds like. It is the day-to-day operations of the baseball team, trades, drafts, stuff like that. He's in control of that kind of stuff. He will most likely be appointed the general manager. But Scott Harris, just to give a bit of a background on him, I mean, you guys have probably already seen, he, from 2012 to 2019, was with the Chicago Cubs and helped build that team up to the 2016 World Series team, and for the past 2 seasons has been with the San Francisco Giants, which it's really hard to judge his time there because while they haven't been great, he also, all the prospects he's drafted in his 2 years being there haven't really gotten a chance to show what they can do in the major leagues, and it was just kind of a weird situation that he did have there in San Francisco. So it's tough to tell if he is the reason that San Francisco isn't doing the best. So I'm not going to act like this is the greatest hire in the world because I'm sure everybody in the world's been like, oh, he won the World Series in 2016. He rebuilt the Cubs. Holy crap, he's going to do the same thing with the Tigers. You see, the Tigers have a bit of a situation here. You have Javier Baez, who can't hit and can't field at the moment, and if he continues that trajectory, as much as I really like Javier Baez and I want to see him do good, he's here for another 4 or 5 years with a lot of money attached to that contract as well. So that's going to be something that he's going to have to deal with. You've also got Eduardo Rodriguez, who is, again, here for another 3
Oh my goodness!
or 4 years with a lot of money attached to his contract. And he hasn't even played most of the season. At least Javier Baez has played most of the season, and he's had good moments. Eduardo Rodriguez just, he actually disappeared for a month. That's not even a joke. He actually disappeared for a month and then just came back in August. And I mean, I haven't really looked at his numbers that much, but we haven't won a lot. I know that doesn't mean that he has been the problem, but it's not like he's been overwhelmingly good. And how he's going to take this bullpen, I mean, you've got some good pieces. You've got Andrew Chafin and stuff like that, but are you going to keep those guys around is kind of the question of if you're going to do that, because those guys were brought in to try and solidify and help us, solidify a core of players that were going to get us to the playoffs and have a good bullpen that would help a playoff team close out games. Well, we are certainly not a playoff team at 52-91, I believe. One of the worst records in all of Major League Baseball. And it's tough because he can take this in two directions. One, try and build a winning team out of this. It's definitely possible to build a winning team out of this. There's plenty of good pieces that you could build around. Javier Baez, Riley Green, who looks very good, Spencer Torkelson. It's kind of everybody else has fallen off a cliff. Jeimer Candelario fell off. Jonathan Scope fell off. At least Harold Castro hasn't been too bad. Willie Castro, Victor Reyes, meh. Akil Baddoo, I really love Akil, and I think he can be a really productive major leaguer one day. He's still really young, but he definitely did take a step back from last season. But I think we should keep him personally because he does have a lot of potential. But yeah, he does have a lot of pieces that he can work around, and if he signs players in the offseason, develops young prospects, he can make a good winning team out of this in a year or two, depending on how much work he does in free agency and, luck, really, how lucky we get with those players panning out. Option number 2, complete rebuild, clean house, trade Javier Baez or just keep him for now because his contract's really bad. Trade Eduardo Rodriguez or keep him for now because his contract's really bad. Trade Scope, trade Candelario, trade the Castros, trade any player with experience, really, except for Miguel Cabrera. Keep Riley Green, obviously. Keep Spencer Torkelson, obviously. Keep the young guys, obviously. Casey Mize, Tarek Skubal, Spencer Turnbull. Keep that young pitching group that has hopefully gotten their Tommy Johns out of the way for the rest of their career, or at least until after their primes. And yeah, you just rebuild. I mean, there's a decent amount of young prospects in the pipeline already, but you just keep on getting good prospects, spend the next few years in the basement, acquire tons of draft capital with tons of prospects, and just put on a true show of tanking. Personally, what I would do, I'm kind of frustrated with seeing this team lose, so I'd want to try and make it a winner, but I don't know if that's really realistic. I don't know who's going to want to come here. I mean, it just depends. But yeah. Is this hire a good hire? I think it makes sense. I'm not ready to call it a good hire because I haven't seen what he's done yet. And yeah, there's not a big enough sample size of teams that he's been with to tell how good he is and get a true assessment of how good he is. But what I will say is I think the hire makes sense. I think he has huge potential and huge upside to be a really, really good general manager who can build another World Series winning team, hopefully in Detroit. But there's also a chance that this team, just the horribleness, the unluck of this team gets to him and he ends up falling off just like all the players that have fallen off this year. So it just depends on how he does. I think the hire makes sense. See you guys next time. As always, I'm not funny, and at least we have the Red Wings. See you guys next time.
Just got unlucky on a few plays tonight. One of those plays, I thought he was standing still, but he just hit the shit out of that one guy, and the guy went flying. They blew the whistle, and they called it on him.